Mob Psycho 100 is one of the best anime to come out of recent memory, chock full of fantastic storytelling, stellar animation, and overall very good production. But if you were to ask me if there was anything to note about this show that is particularly amazing, I would say that this anime has some insane character writing. Mob Psycho 100's author, One, known for his more popular mainstream IP, One Punch Man, has a very unique ability to be able to tell ridiculous and over-the-top premises with a very real and genuine human heart. I cannot think of many stories that is able to portray such genuine portraits of people and the struggles they go through in life quite like how One does it. I think it's widely agreed upon that Mob Psycho 100 is probably One's greatest work in terms of character writing. And much thanks to the amazing anime adaptation made by Studio Bones, it has gotten a lot of well-deserved recognition. Our protagonist, Shigeo Kageyama, aka Mob, has a very personal journey of maturity and growth throughout the show, and subverts a lot of the tropes told in both popular anime and supernatural stories similar to the show. Instead of Mob using incredible psychic powers as a way of fulfilling some sort of power fantasy for the author or audience, One instead decides to use these powers as a narrative device to show character development and introspection for Mob's emotions. In fact, in the story itself, Mob consistently emphasizes the fact that he does not want to use his powers as a way of gaining popularity or try to stand out from the crowd. Instead, he takes a different approach. He doesn't want his powers to be what defines him. So, to figure out what he should do, he consults a stranger that he thinks might be able to understand his particular struggles. Enter stage left, Arataka Reigen. In a cast full of lovable and well-written characters, I consider Reigen to be a shining example of One's storytelling and character writing, and I know for a fact that I am not alone in this opinion. After all, he is undeniably the most popular character from the show, what with his charisma carrying many moments throughout and just straight up having some of the best scenes. I could go on and on about his popularity on the internet and, the reasons as to why he's so prevalent, but this video is not about that. I want to talk about one particular arc in the second season that not only solidified Reigen as an easy favorite of mine, but also as one of the best and most relatable characters to me. Now, I don't think I need to explain who Reigen is, since I assumed you guys clicked on this video fully aware of Mob Psycho 100 and Reigen's character, but just in case you did not, last spoiler warning, read the sign. It's right here. You can read it. Anyway, moving on. I first watched this show with my brothers when the first season was still fairly new, and I enjoyed it a lot. Back then, however, as much as I liked Mob, I still considered One Punch Man to be better, since I think at the time it was closer to my heart, and I guess I was more into the action and hype of One Punch Man compared to Mob. But all of that drastically changed when Season 2 was released. Quick little side tangent, I'm the oldest of the 3 brothers in my family. Like most nerd siblings, sometimes we just watch stuff together, and unlike me, who took a bit longer to really fall in love with Mob Psycho, my middle brother pretty much took no time to be obsessed with the show. Last time I checked, I'm pretty sure this is still his favorite anime of all time, if not top 3 at least. Everything about Mob's character just resonated with him, from the way his mannerisms were, the emotional struggles he goes through, and just the way that he usually handles himself in tense situations. In a lot of ways, I see my little brother a lot in Mob, and I think that's really cool. However, I didn't personally understand this kind of feeling myself until I got to my favorite arc in Season 2, starting at Episode 6, Poor Lonely Whitey. The arc starts with showing us a glimpse into Reigen's past as he quits his job as a salesman and decides to move to a new apartment on a whim. He has no real plans or ambitions at this point, and somehow ends up starting a fake psychic business and becomes the charismatic conman we all know and love today. After this initial flashback, we then get to see Mob make some significant progress on his own growth, setting new personal records at the Body Improvement Club, spending time with new friends, and gaining more confidence, as Dimple himself points out. However, Reigen then summons Mob on short notice while he is having fun with everyone, and forces him to help him take care of an exorcism, as he usually does. However, this time, Reigen and Mob have an argument, causing Reigen to say some pretty nasty things to Mob, telling him that he shouldn't have anyone in his life keeping him down from his work, and he is letting people use him. Very ironic statement. And Mob doesn't let this behavior slide and ends up taking some time away from Reigen afterward. Once Mob leaves and Reigen is left all alone in his office, things really start taking an interesting turn. Up until this point in the story, we almost always see things through Mob's perspective. It makes sense, after all, he is the protagonist of the story. But for this arc, the show decides to do something different and have Reigen be the focus as we see him struggle with Mob's absence, and we get to see even more of his personal life. And if I may be real for a second, I cannot stress how relatable these next few scenes are for me. The way that Reigen comes home to an empty, dark apartment and just sits there doing nothing. The moment where he checks his emails, remembering his own birthday, and reads the depressing and sobering email from his mother, telling him to try to reconsider his career choices and look for a real job. The whole scene where he sits in a bar listening to the regulars' problems and explains how they are probably the closest thing to friends he has. Dude, what else is there to say, man? It's honestly no surprise that Reigen has a crash out after the bar scene and even has a full-on existential crisis.
この状況はまずい。まずい流れに乗ろうとしている。この俺が。この俺って。そもそも俺はなんだ。
After having the crash out and quote-unquote getting over it, Reigen decides to lock in and doubles down on becoming a new version of himself, a new Arataka Reigen. From here on out, he goes on an insane success spree and gains popularity like never before, taking new types of jobs that he's capable of and even getting a chance to be on live television. There is a lot I can say about this part of the arc, but honestly I feel like I would just be adding drops to the already existing Mob Psycho 100 video essay bucket, especially when there's already an amazing video analysis by Kyle Robes about Reigen on YouTube, and I highly recommend you check out this guy. I am very much inspired by his work. He does insane editing and even makes his own music, so yeah. If you guys want more professional analysis and perspective on this arc, I definitely recommend you go check this one out. But, to quickly summarize for the folks at home, Reigen gets in over his head and ends up digging his own grave in front of a live audience, forcing his new gained popularity to plummet and also causing him to lose even more connections with the people he knew. We see even more aspects of Reigen's personal life in a much more depressing light. He can't even enter his own home in peace without the press harassing him. He receives another email from his mother, giving him a pre-written apology letter and urging him to come home for a family meeting. None of the bar regulars trust him and basically reject him immediately. Reigen is left with nothing, and nowhere to run away to. Eventually, he reluctantly agrees to hold a press conference to address the many allegations people have against him, and as a last attempt to clear his name. During this conference, he answers many questions in his usual calm demeanor, at least until he is hit with the blast from the past. One of the reporters brings up his old graduation paper and states Reigen once said that he wanted to be somebody. What does it mean to be somebody? To Reigen, I'm sure he really wanted to find his own answer, which is why I believe he decided that he just wasn't built for the same cookie-cutter Japanese salesman life that everyone else seemed to do. Instead, he decided to become a fake psychic who took care of jobs that nobody else would bother do. And despite all the actual good that he has done for his customers and friends, you can tell that Reigen, despite his attitude and presentation, doesn't actually fully own and accept praise for any of the things that he has done for others. He is, I guess, a good person for that, but for me personally, that stuff is just so relatable to me, man. In a world full of powerful espers and people who are definitely more remarkable than him, Reigen stands as a very weird character. He has no powers or psychic ability, but he is still undeniably a very valuable character to the main cast because of his wisdom and charisma, a valuable friend and pillar for Mob. But this arc managed to take that dynamic between Reigen and Mob to the next level, and explore how not only is Reigen integral to Mob's growth and character, but also how Mob is just as important to Reigen. Without Mob, Reigen would not have continued any of his fake psychic business, and he most likely would have moved on to a different gig, or just winded up working a completely normal job. But thanks to Mob, he stayed and became an undeniably better person as a result. And I think there's something about that that's genuinely beautiful. Even though I'm sure Reigen from 3 years ago never would have thought he would be going on all these crazy adventures, helping out this insanely overpowered kid figure out how to use his powers, I'm also more than certain that Reigen does not regret a thing. Even though it took Reigen in a completely different direction in life than he had planned, he still managed to utilize his skills in life to help people who needed him, and develop bonds that I'm sure he will carry for a very long time. When Reigen stands at the bridge with Mob and asks him if he knew who he really was, I think Reigen was seeking validation from the one person he needed the most. Not from any of the press, or his clients, or even his own mother. At that moment, he needed to be seen by the person that he had been working so hard for, to be seen as someone. And at that moment, Mob had every right to call him out as a fraud or as a liar. But despite all of his flaws and failings, Mob instead decides to hit Reigen with the same message he was given all of those years ago. It doesn't matter who you are or what you have done in the past, because in that moment, Reigen finally recognized that he messed up for trying to bring down Mob, and in the end, he's still obviously his friend. Despite everything, Reigen is still a genuinely good guy. It's very rare that I rewatch this scene without tearing up at least a little bit. It's just such a fantastic way to end the arc, and it still gets me every time. The camera angles, the voice acting, and just the way that Mob tells Reigen happy birthday at the very end. Oh, dude, that's so good. I still remember finishing this arc for the first time and just being floored. I didn't know what to think at the time. However, now that enough time has passed since then, I think I have more concrete thoughts and takeaways that I can properly put into words about what this arc means to me. Even though I don't think my own words can do it justice, regardless, I will try. Recently, I had the wonderful privilege of being able to graduate as a university student. An achievement that, and I'll be fully honest, I believe wouldn't be possible a few times. Now that I'm finally at a point in my life where I am free from academics, I am now faced with new problems and trials as an adult. What kind of career path do I take? What do I do with the next 4 years of my life? Who do I stay in contact with? Who am I? Even though I cannot say that I can completely relate to Reigen in terms of throwing away everything to start a business of his own, I can still say I can understand the concept of feeling like you are flailing around like an idiot without knowing what you are doing. I'm about to get really personal here, so I apologize ahead of time, but bear with me here. I don't think I've ever talked about the origins of my YouTube journey in a video before, but in case some of you are not in the know, I usually work on fighting game content on my other channel. However, the entire process of me working on FGC content was a result of me walking off the beaten path. I had no plans to make gaming content seriously. My dream was to create a YouTube channel that was focused on video essays and yapping content about anime and random stuff I liked. Then one day, on a pure whim, I decided to work on fighting game videos, since it was a hobby that I happened to enjoy, and I just happened to have a bunch of funny footage lying around while my editing muscles were wasting away, doing nothing. I worked on some edits and montages, uploaded them, and a few of my videos actually managed to gain traction somehow. And, well, here we are. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some sort of big shot, but I will say reaching 2K subs on a fighting game channel was something I never thought would actually happen, let alone in less than 2 years. And the fact that I have gotten to meet so many other content creators and wonderful, talented people is also something I never thought would actually happen. I'm going to be totally honest here, I still find myself struggling with the same problems I had before I started working on content. When I look at what I have done in the past year and whatever accomplishments and praise that I have received, I don't really see myself worthy of these things. I'm not an artist, or an animator, or even a top-level player in the competitive scene. I'm just an editor who works on projects on my channel. Hell, regardless of what other people say, I don't even think I'm that good of an editor. And even though there are times when I have to be honest with myself, and be reminded that I have done some very cool things, my brain still refuses to let me think that, I'm just all that. It just doesn't happen. I hope you guys understand that this isn't some way of boosting my humility. No, this isn't about that. Like Reigen, I also deeply struggle with my own form of imposter syndrome with a lot of things that I do. Like him, I also am the type of person to try to fix things with my own hands and try to make something work, even if it doesn't logically seem possible. And even though I'm not in a world full of psychics and espers, the mental struggles and problems that Reigen goes through hit closer to home than I ever thought they would. I love this character, and I adore this arc. Everything about the way that the show presents and handles Reigen just speaks to me in so many ways that I feel like I still haven't fully articulated yet, but I hope you guys have an idea now. Even though I still have many personal doubts and fears that I continue to struggle with, I hope that one day, like Reigen, I can learn how to fully appreciate the people and blessings given to me, regardless of my circumstances, whether they be good or bad. Thank you all for watching, and a final thank you to One for creating what I believe to be the best arc in Mob Psycho 100. Hey, you made it to the end. Thank you. Really, it means a lot. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more of this kind of stuff, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. I read every single one you guys leave down there, so yeah, it means a lot. And check out my socials in the description if you guys want updates, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I'm hard boiled, past the point of petrol. I drop these lyrics for my people in the ghetto. I keep the flavor from night to morning. Just like an alkaline, I keep going strong. Another angle just to keep flexing. This is like a drill, yo. When I'm testing my unusual styles of rap, then I fix in a rhyme from the beginning to the middle within a flash.